Just got up today. It's the next day. We ran out of time yesterday, so I'm going to continue the job stories. Moved on from U-Haul. Still had not gone to college. On and off, I had been doing some community college, but I kind of failed out of my first year because I got through all of high school by never doing homework. When homework was assigned, I would do as much of it as I could in class the moment it was assigned. And then as soon as school let out, I just went out to skate and I never once did a piece of homework. And I was basically a B student. And every time I got tests in high school, I basically already knew all the history and geography and stuff because of learning in my own time by watching PBS documentaries and stuff. So that's how I guessed all the answers on the test, and I would always get pretty high scores on tests. And then I would, only turn in however much homework I finished in class. So I went through all of high school that way. So when I got to community college, I thought that that's what school was all about. I thought that was the school experience. So I had the same approach at first in college, and then obviously it's a different ball game. So I failed out of college the first 2 years, first year and a half, and because of that, I was never able to get financial aid to go to school ever again. After the first year of failing, I was like, man, fuck this. And I was reflecting how, well, I already had shitty ass jobs and I was able to basically feed myself and pay the bills and pay rent. So why should I bother with all this college crap? Like, you're only young once. I'll do college later. Uh, I'll just keep working whatever best paying job I can, being uncollege educated, and I just will spend more of my time having fun. So then I worked with a recruiter, a recruiting agency, staffing agency, and it's honestly like the only time in my career that I've ever felt like somebody actually had my interest that was looking out for me to get a job. I've talked to, in more recent years, I've talked to like loads of recruiters on LinkedIn, and you just get ghosted. They never send you any opportunities. It's all about serving them, not about serving you. Um, but in this case, back in this day, 2002, I was not having luck doing the door-to-door job applications, and I went to a staffing agency, and they figured out that I was good with computers, and they placed me in a tech support role, which was like temp to hire, a temp agency. This was before the widespread offshoring of like all tech jobs, all customer service jobs. So it was actually in Eugene, Oregon. There was a 3-floor cubicle farm, just handling calls all day, corporate customer service and support company who handled contracts for, like, if you've ever heard of Norton Antivirus or Norton System Works or Norton Internet Security. That's what I did, is I did the tech support for those software products. So I got to learn those products really well. I got corporate customer service training where they bring in a corporate customer service person and they run you through all these things, how you're supposed to talk on the phone, how you handle silence. For example, they taught us, like, never say no problem when a customer describes their issue and you're like, oh, no problem, I'll fix it, because it diminishes the perceived hardness of their problem. Like, their problems are real to them, so you don't want to inadvertently dismiss what they're feeling. So you're supposed to say, oh, I can understand, Bob, that would be really frustrating. We're going to help you with that today. That's what you're supposed to say instead. So, and this job was brutal. The pay was higher. I think it started at $11 an hour, I think. And then there was like mandatory overtime, like all the time. And so I think sometimes I made like $15 an hour on overtime, or maybe 16 at the most. Was still living downtown in the city, 2-bedroom apartment in some really ghetto apartments, and yeah, the rent was like, yeah, $275 each, something like that. Basically gave up on the school path for a while. I thought, well, whenever these skateboarding and band stuff doesn't play out, I can always just go back to college, was what I thought. And so, like, I'll get back to that one day. But for now, let's just like work a job, see how much I can get. And so this was brutal. The shifts were like you start at 5 a.m. It would still be dark outside in the winter, and then it would go till 4 p.m. So there'd be like 11, 12-hour shifts. And in the winter time, it would be like dark and freezing on the bike on the way there, and then I would get out of just a fluorescent lighting cubicle farm all day, never seeing any windows or anything, and I would get out, and then it would be dark again and ride home, and just like a loop like that. And so I spent like 2 years where I was just like living for the weekend, like usually too tired to even like skate or film the skate videos after work. And I would just every single weekend for 2 years, every single weekend I just filled with adventures. Be like skate trips, photo trips, camping trips, hiking, just nonstop. And was never able to save money. I could afford all my bills. I could afford to eat. I could afford the rent. And then I could afford going on little weekend adventures like that. And it was nothing extravagant. It would just be like 3-hour drives to the wilderness with a couple friends and like camping. And it was just paycheck to paycheck for those 2 years straight, working like really hard. Like 12 hours in a call center is pretty brutal if you've never experienced it. Like it's exhausting. Your stats were micromanaged. Like if you had to use the bathroom, you had to, for everything you were doing throughout the day, you had to punch a code into the phone that represented what you were doing. So there was like a code for bathroom break, and then like every single metric was tracked. So sometimes managers would come over and they would be like, hey, I noticed your wrap up time on calls is averaging 6 minutes and you need to keep that to 4 or something. So then it's like this constant surveillance and like pressure that like, and their targets were like really, really aggressive. They track like average call handling time, average wrap up time, average like bathroom breaks, and if any metric was like out of line, and they were like really, really aggressive metrics, they would like let you know about it and like give you really negative reviews and keep you scared. And so everyone was like hundreds of people just unhappy in this fluorescent call center cubicle farm. And so I reached a point, I was like, well, school didn't work for now, and like jobs suck. And after a year and a half, I saw that there was a ceiling to what I was doing. I was like, well, I thought $15 an hour was good pay for a 19-year-old, for a 20-year-old in 2002. But in practice, I'm just paycheck to paycheck. I'm living in a shitty apartment. So what I came up with at the time was like, if I move to Portland, that's what'll at least be better. Like at least my quality of life will be better. There's like so many vegetarian, vegan places to eat, and there's way more cute girls. And there's I was really into going to like metal shows. Like I don't just mean like casually. Like I was like a scenester. I was going to like every metal show I could go to, like multiple times a week, just like in the scene. I was sick of driving up to Portland for that from Eugene, so I moved to Portland and got an apartment with all these random roommates that were like 10 years older than me, like people in their early 30s or maybe like 29, and had nothing in common with any of them, and I had no real social skills. So it was a weird situation, and I was able to transfer that cubicle farm job. The company had another branch up there in Beaverton, and it was an even bigger call center, even less windows, just a massive cement cube warehouse building, and just like outdated early 90s cubicles and early 90s computers. And then it was the same company, but now the contract was for dial-up internet support. So all the people that were calling now, they were like senior citizens that they can't hear you, they can't communicate their issue, they don't know how to use a computer. So like the job was already really hard when I was like a virus removal technician at first for the Norton antivirus. So I would walk people through step by step how to remove viruses from their computer. like that was already exhausting and hard, but then I came up to this Beaverton job, and it was like bumper to bumper standstill commute every day, and to park in a giant ass parking lot and just to go into this warehouse depressing building, and then the equipment was even more depressing than the last job, just like 90s computers, and then the customers, like you just literally wanted to like claw your face off talking to these people for like 10 hours a day. They're like, what, how do I use a mouse, like where's the power button, like just like the most clueless. And they're like trying to get online with dial-up internet, and it was like so rough. And so I reached a point, I'm like, that's it, like something has to change in my life, like I don't know what, but I have to put in my 2 weeks notice. And then the same day that I thought that, I went to lunch break, and I'm like, there's no fucking way I can go back. I can't fucking go back. I can't do it anymore. And I didn't say anything. I went in the building. I turned in my security badge that unlocks the doors. Just like turned it into the front desk. I said, here you go. I'm not coming back. I just turned around and left. And I had no idea what to do. And from all my other past times searching for jobs, I already knew what I was going to find. I was going to be on an endless, stupid job search where no one would give me a chance. And even when I do find a job, as being uncollege educated, the pay was only going to ever, yeah, at that time, like $16 an hour, I think was what I got up to. Like, that was like a lot more than most people my age who weren't at college were making. Like most of the people I knew were like waitresses or baristas, and they were not making that much money at that time. They'd be making more like 10.50, $11 an hour or something, even less, $8 an hour, $9 an hour. So I used all this cope to justify it, like comparing to other people, and like, well, I mean, I guess it's good money. And but I quit and I left, and then rent is due at the apartment. Rent is due, and I only had like next month's rent was like the only thing I had. And I just did like deep soul searching for the first time about careers. I had always thought, oh, a job is just something you get, and there's better paying jobs and worse paying jobs, but as long as you have a job, like you'll basically be fine. And you can casually on your own time work on trying to get a better job. But if you live simply and you just have roommates and you work a job, like it'll be okay. You'll be able to survive. That's what I thought before. And now, after I started working in like I said, 1998, and now it was like up to 2004. Yeah, it was now it's like 2004. So already like 6 years in the workforce, and through all the punishing experiences and just complete paycheck to paycheck living that entire time, just extreme poverty life. Really, I just had a poverty life in really poverty apartments and stuff. So I, for the first time, had like reflective soul searching. I remember it to this day, of that day, and just like where the entire thought about like work, like how do you fucking work? Like what is the secret? How do you break paycheck to paycheck? Like what do I have to do? Where do I have to go? And thinking of every possible option available to me in life. And I came up with, well, if I move back into my parents' house, even though they don't have room for me, like I sleep in the garage or something, like then I don't have to pay rent. So that'll put me like at least $500 a month ahead on rent and bills. And then I guess I can't afford university. There's only one university in my hometown. So I guess I have to go back to community college because there's really no option. I can't afford anything else. So that's what I did. So I had a great time in Portland, not just having fun all the time and working this dead end shit ass job. And I just had enough. And I'm like, okay, I guess playtime's over. I guess my youth is over. I guess we really have to commit to college now. I guess that's the path. I have to figure that out no matter what. And I really had that feeling like, wow, my youth is over. Like it's going to be all business from here on out. I'm going to have to focus really hard on being a student. I figured out failing out of school is not the move, and makes your life hard. And so I was not eligible for any of the FAFSA grants. none of the free money, and I could only complete school by taking out the maximum amount of student loan and parent loan. And my mom made it clear to me when I went back to community college. She's like, so you're paying this parent loan, right? Like, I'm never going to be able to pay this. So when you get out of school, it's going to be paying back the student loans and paying back the parent loan. And there was just no other option, so I just went ahead with that. So for a period of only like a year and a half, because though I failed most of my community college classes the first time around, a lot of those credits did count. So I had maybe a year of community college done. So I had to do like a year and a little more to complete community college 2-year degree, and then to transfer to university with that. So for about a year and a half, I don't think I actually had a job. I think and that was the impression I had. I was like, well, if you get all the student loans, this is what the student loans are made for, is so that you don't have to work, and I can just live off the student loans and go to school. That was my thinking at the time. But that was absolutely brutal. It just is not enough to live on, like even back then. And like today, it's even more of a joke. Like, I don't know. I don't think you can really make it on just student loans. You need to have rich family members helping you out, or a part-time job. I couldn't afford even a car for a while. I was like riding the bus way out to this community college every day, and I just focused on school, and I realized I couldn't do my old approach anymore of just not doing homework. So I was like learning how to become a student. I was actually like taking notes for the first time in my life and actually trying to get all the homework done, and I did make it through. And then it was time to transfer to U of O, but the costs at U of O are a lot higher. So literally the first month I got there to U of O, I was hitting the student job center, and I was so eager to work. I just wanted to get through university and learn what I need to learn and try to make enough money in order to be able to make it happen. And so I immediately went to the job center. I applied for like everything. They hooked me up with 2 jobs, and I took them both. And one was being a help desk at the so there's 2 main libraries on campus. There's like the night library and then the science library. And it was being the help desk support. So when you go into the computer lab and you can't get the margins right on your document, or you get a computer error, or you can't get the printer to work, I just sat there at the front desk overlooking the lab, and everybody who had a problem would come up to me. And realistically, I just did homework behind the desk. I just did homework for my other classes, and it would be like on a 4-hour shift or something, only like 2 people would just ask like a 10-second question about the printer. So like a pretty chill job. And like Wikipedia just came out for the first time back then. And I remember being so fascinated with Wikipedia. Like you could just go on rabbit hole dives and keep clicking the links and like, well, what was that historic event? Well, what was that historic event? And I would open like 30 tabs on Wikipedia, and I would just read Wikipedia for like 4-hour shifts. Over a few years of doing that job, like I must have read like 30,000 Wikipedia pages or something like that. Like a lot. I probably did more learning about the world from that than I did at actual college. But the second job I was more interested in, I considered my primary job, which was my first developer job. I had been trying to get into be a software developer. I've been trying to get a dev job. Like I already knew web dev. I had taught myself since like the 90s, but nobody was willing to honor that without the school background back then. So I could never get a dev job. But as a student job, they hooked me up with they have an in-house in the university. They have an in-house developer department, and so they're responsible for like most of the department websites. Like a lot of the university related websites, the homepage of the university, and like And then we also built like classes would have an idea for like custom software or like a way to use software in their course material, and so they would work with the internal dev agency and pitch us these projects, and then the student developers, we would build them. So it was my first ever dev job, way before AI, before Stack Overflow, I'm pretty sure, before Stack Overflow existed, or maybe right when Stack Overflow was new. And I wasn't up to speed on the latest and greatest ways of doing web development. And then the bosses there were like non-technical, so like there was no one there to really mentor me or show me. So I just did things in a really stupid way as far as development. Like I didn't use the cutting edge tech. I just like plodded along, and I made a Flash game for a course. It was used as a course material, and it was actually pretty advanced what it did. It synced with like the Blackboard platform, and as students progressed through the game, it would like save their progress to Blackboard, and they were required to play through this game as part of the course material.
Well, my learning object was for my Arts and Visual Literacy course, which I teach for the Arts Administration program. It's part of the core courses that Arts Administration offers for undergraduates. It's part of the 200 series. I thought it'd be a wonderful idea to create a video game module so they can not only read about and listen to the content about video games and new media, but also be immersed within the content itself. And launched it in the fall of my course, and from the student feedback that we received, we modified it. The product that we came up with just went beyond my expectations of what we were after with the video game module. A lot of faculties, they kind of put technology here and they put their instruction here, but it's all in one thing. I think the potential for video games and education is just really high, so we have something that maybe other instructors can plug into and plug their content into. So I think that's just, it goes beyond just my course.
And I also we got a contract for an Alaskan rock art database. So there was some group of scientists that were studying rock art paintings, like thousands of years old rock paintings. And we made this database to like categorize them and for different like government entities to access and stuff. Going into this time, I thought I was invincible, and I think I had a chip on my shoulder of like, oh, other kids don't even have to work jobs, and they have rich parents, and they just go to school, and they've never even worked before. And I was thinking like, I'm gonna show everybody, like, I don't care how hard I have to work, I'll work 5 times as hard as everybody. I'm gonna like show people that I'm not gonna let disadvantage hold me back. The fact that I came from a single parent, and when we had no savings, and I'm not getting any grants to do this, and I had a chip on my shoulder to prove myself. My schedule started getting just like fucked up at this time. It would be like my first class was at 8 in the morning at school, so it'd be 8 in the morning. Then I would do there'd be a gap in my classes. I would do the developer job from like 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning until like, I don't know, 1 p.m. or something. Then I would go to classes, again, a bunch of college classes, full-time credits until like 4 p.m. Then I would go to the computer lab at like 5, and I stayed on campus the whole time, and then the shift would be until I think like 10 or 11. And then all I had time for was just bike commuting home from the job and just getting in bed, and that was it. And then back to college, and then I just did that every day. And then within a year later, I still was just paycheck to paycheck, and I had to really ration my money to even be able to buy the textbooks to even eat and stuff. So I was just like super rationing even my food budget, and I just still needed more money. So I picked up a third job outside of the university. There was a restaurant delivery. It was basically just exactly what DoorDash is, but it was like 15 years before DoorDash was invented, or more. And so on not every single night I did that computer lab job, but so whenever I wasn't scheduled for the computer lab job, I would get in my car and after school and drive restaurant delivery until sometimes 11 p.m. So it could be like 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. and basically get on a bad day you get like $80 for that whole shift, and on a good day, I think the best I ever did, I think I made like 250 in one night of doing that. But that was also the first time I learned about how fucked up being a contractor is. I didn't appreciate it. I had never been a 1099 contractor until that job. And then I was thinking, oh, $250 for this like full night of driving, like that's pretty good. But it's like increased wear and tear on your car, more oil changes, like big gas expense. They don't pay for your gas; you pay for your own gas, and then tax time rolls around, and I figured that out for the first time, and it's like, oh, it's actually 25% less than whatever you thought it was that you have to come up with for taxes. So just terrible job. And I was doing all three of those jobs, and like I said, that I had a chip on my shoulder of like working hard. This led to like, and I mean, school alone, like if you just did the computer science major at university, if you had nothing else going on in your life, no band practice, no three other jobs, like if you had nothing else going on in your life, it would already be a very full plate. I don't know how else to explain it other than like I had like a mental breakdown. Like my life just like started falling apart. Like I physically couldn't complete all the homework that was assigned to me when I had these three jobs going on. As much as I tried, like I tried to do all of the homework from the desk at the computer job, and I tried to do homework midnight getting home from the delivery jobs. So I was reaching the point where I literally couldn't even do what was assigned in every class. I was taking too many credits too. Like just an art history elective, and they assign 40 pages of reading in a night. It's like, where am I going to fit that in? Like, I had to care more about my major and the math and computer science, and that ended up taking all the time. And most of the other classes, I just like straight up like couldn't do the reading. And I developed, which it's like so obvious in retrospect, like, oh, of course, if you try to live like that, you're going to get like health and anxiety problems and stress problems. So I got like panic attacks and developed like anxiety disorder basically. And I just like outside of school, I just like stopped socializing. I didn't leave my house for like 6 months one time because every single time I left my house, I just had so much anxiety about money and about just life. Like I was like not seeing a path forward, but somehow I made it through. Somehow I felt barely like I made it out alive was how I felt. I didn't even go to my graduation because I had too much anxiety, social anxiety and stress. When I got my degree, I didn't even do like the walk at graduation because I was already spending all my time thinking about money and how was I going to work. And I didn't have time to mess around with going to a graduation ceremony when I needed to be finding work. So graduated. I remember thinking when I graduated, like, oh my God, like that hard chapter of life is behind me and my problems are basically solved. I can't believe I did it. I have a degree. Like, this is what people my whole life since grade school, they said, get a college degree and you'll be fine. And I remember just thinking, like, finally, like all those years of struggling from 1998 to 2007, like 10 years of struggling with a career and money and living in ghetto living situations. I remember thinking, like, finally, these problems are solved. Like, it's all going to be good from here on out. Like, I paid the price, but it was all for something, and I'm gonna get a career now, not just like dead end jobs. I'm gonna get an actual career, and I'll be able to afford better places. And like it's on now. It's on now. Like I did it, and right away, just going into the workforce, I saw that was not reality at all. Like really, my problems were just beginning. That have continued really to this day, 30 years. But I learned right away that it does not play out like that. It's not like you just have it made if you get a college degree, and shit just got hard. It was hard, and just kept getting harder. Every job was hard. Every job never seemed to quite pay enough. So this brings us up to actually like my actual real tech career.